Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Summer 2019. Gen.G lead 1-0, and it's largely off the back of their bot lane duo, but this man in particular, his engages were absolutely fantastic. I thought Ruler deserves an honorable mention for that series, but after that Rakan play, can't really go past life. Life is good, guys. That is basically what Gen.G are trying to tell us. There are a lot of puns to be made, but in the end, he's just a real good player.
Yeah, and in game number 2, we're going to have to see if Gen.G, however, can change their fortune for the early game, though.
Ooh, misfortune pick? Is that what we're talking about? No. All right, if Afreeca Freecs don't ban Tahm Kench, what's the bet that CuVee insta-locks it? What kind of money you got on it?
Maybe Afreeca actually end up banning it to prevent... Well, no, I wouldn't imagine that they would actually, because now they're on red side, so they have counter pick available, which I think that you would just reserve for Kiin in most cases, so I don't think it's the end of the world. Maybe the final ban here is actually still just going to be a gangplank, but even that would be a little bit surprising, given that, again, they are red side, so Afreeca should flourish on red, being able to allocate counter picks for Ucal and Kiin.
Wait for it. It's happening.
Nope.
Oh, no,
Sejuani.
they're going to take the Sedge. Sedge, of course, available, and of course is going to be snapped up, so that's going to take priority. Afreeca then get to pick the catfish away, and the Aatrox is going to be picked up alongside it. So this time around, CuVee is not going to be able to pick the Tahm Kench into that lane, but Gangplank is available, and they can go straight for it.
What if what we're seeing here is top Tahm, jungle Aatrox?
Oh.
How?
No.
What do you mean, no?
Because Kiin can't hard carry on the catfish, can he?
He can.
He can?
He can do it on anything.
Whoa.
Not with that
gentleman,
attitude, he can't. But.
Yeah, that's true, that's true. I need a can-do attitude, don't
Yeah.
I? Okay.
Well, are we going to see Sivir Yuumi?
Could be. This has been a favorite, the Pizza Cats lane, as I like to call it.
They never came out with... There's so many Sivir skins that they could have come out with.
What do you mean? They've got the pizza delivery Sivir.
Yeah, but...
That's the only one you need.
Okay.
Actually, Pack Sivir is my favorite skin in the game, so I actually don't need any more Sivir skins. I think we're just done. Yuumi going to be the lock-in here for Gen.G. And Ruler and Life are going to try their hands at the cat book, this time with the Pizza Lady, which is why we call it the Pizza Cats lane. Aiming thinking about the Lucian just once again. Sona going to be the option. There we go.
Sona, Tahm Kench will be the bottom lane for Afreeca. And so now, I would imagine that they would pinch the... Well, Gen.G is going to probably try to pinch the jungler pool as Afreeca is going to try to set up the top lane matchup to be ideal for Kiin.
Yeah, well, the cannon going to be the first lock away here, likely to be followed by the gangplank. You can see Ruler very vocal on the camera. Dread not going to have his Olaf available to him. 100% win rate so far, but only one game played here for Dread. Thus far, so far in the LCK, Olaf has not been a very powerful pick, and the gangplank, as expected, is going to be banned away from CuVee.
And we'll see what the final ban is here for Gen.G.
Might just be another jungler. Lee Sin could go here.
Should just be another jungler pick. Maybe? No, probably not. Probably would not expect to see Karthus or something.
Okay, at least going to be banned. So in theory, Dread could just lock in the Karthus.
Nope, not against Sivir.
Oh wow, okay, the Hecarim, the old school Sona Turret combo.
Yeah.
This time with the Tahm Kench.
This was the OG.
Yeah. First time that it's been picked up here in the Summer Split of the LCK.
And so now they are reserving the counter pick for mid lane, although they could, in theory, plant the Aatrox in
Wow,
mid.
okay, CuVee going to go back to the Gnar. All right, we've been seeing this a little bit around the world. Not a lot of wild synergies so far on the Gen.G side.
What do you mean, Yuumi?
Yuumi probably would be wild. Okay,
Yeah,
good point.
Yuumi's wild.
All right.
And they have Glacial Knight on Sejuani, and they have Noble Ranger
Is it just an
on
upgraded
Sivir.
Vayne?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I guess
Yeah,
that's
see,
how.
they're really
that's
not,
why Sivir didn't make the cut.
So they have Glacial and they have Wild right now.
We're going real old school here. As this is one of Kuzan's most successful picks last season when he was in Challenger. As he's going to take this one away. Aurelion Sol being considered on Ucal's side.
Swain now being hovered. Really, I'm not.
Sylas!
What?
Wow, blast from the past patch. This is not necessarily a Sylas that does the same things that you might be used to, guys. If you've been watching the LPL, they're still on 9-11. And that was when Sylas was a champion. That was when Ryze was a champion. Neither of those really champions at the moment, as this is a heavily nerfed Sylas that Ucal's just picked up.
Yeah, I actually really don't understand why that pick is the final one that ends up coming in here for Afreeca. That's really surprising. Perhaps they wanted to go with another melee champion, but then it would end up being a very low amount of magic damage on the side of Afreeca. Mostly only coming in from Afreeca, or coming in from Sona for Afreeca.
Well, now it's going to be Sylas and Sona. In theory, there are some ultimates to be stolen away. I'm not sure how the interaction works. Oh, no, yes, we are, because FLICKR got a 5-man Gnar with Sylas, and actually that interaction works very, very well.
This would have been such a beautiful spot for Cassiopeia, because you can see that all of the members on the side of Gen.G are short range and forced to engage.
Yeah.
Even though they have the poke component or the siege component on the Sivir, they would all fall victim and prey to a Cassiopeia in a short range skirmish, and especially with the Hecarim ulting up front and Sona backing things up. So the Sylas, maybe it was a last minute panic pick here.
Potentially,
like they didn't know what to wrap this comp up with. So
final chapter Sylas, though, is a real silly ultimate. It's going to be really hard to click on the Yuumi in order to hijack the ability, because she'll be inside opponents. But if he ever finds her by herself, it is likely that that ultimate is going to get snapped up by Ucal. Let's see whether he can here in game number 2. The Afreeca fans finding their voice here in game number 2, hoping that we can have our money's worth here. Get to 3 games between these two squads. The last one was a great start for the Afreeca Freecs. And then about 11 minutes hit, and Gen.G absolutely obliterated a fight around Shelly, and then it was over in a lot of ways.
Here now is going to be Mountain Drake, actually.
Ooh, the Sona Comp Dragon.
The Sona Comp Dragon. So things are rolling very well right now for Afreeca, but if Gen.G ends up getting it, that could end up proving to be a little bit disastrous. If Afreeca doesn't get enough of an advantage, then Baron bait potentials can certainly come online much earlier than expected. Also should note that it's going to be teleport for Sylas and Sona, and Airy for the Sona, not the Kleptomancy.
Now, part of the reason why we're talking about Sylas not necessarily being in the game anymore has to do with his wave clear in the mid lane. The wave clear on his passive was nerfed largely into the ground. Really just doesn't do a lot of damage to minions anymore, so his wave shove is just not going to be there, and he can be abused in a lot of these caster matchups. Kuzan will see whether he can actually shove Ucal around here.
So far, not too much action happening down here in bottom, and interestingly, Sona has Doran's ring. They're on a different planet. You know, we mentioned that Summoner's Rift is flat, Runeterra, right? So Afreeca, they come from a different world right now. That's why they're picking the Sylas.
The Void?
No.
Are we gonna keep, come on. I was trying to keep it in the vibe, you know?
That's not what happens.
It's not coming from the Void?
No. They have an Airy on Sona, and they're trying to CS with her, utilizing Doran's ring. So,
yeah, I guess they'd have better ideas in the Void, wouldn't they?
I mean, you're just going to fall behind down in bottom. I actually don't understand why they would elect to take these runes
Yeah, not having the Klepto is actually really, really hard. And remember,
Or
yesterday...
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Just take it. I'm really not understanding what is going through their minds right now.
Well, yesterday we saw Teddy with the slowest quest completion ever.
Yes.
On a Sona. I'm not actually sure whether he completed the quest in the end.
Slow and Teddy wins the race.
Well, they lost. So
that's what he was trying to do.
It was a fun pun. Unfortunately, just wasn't correct. And this could just be an even slower one, right? Because I assume Aiming wants to go back and just build a full Frostfang, wants to have a little bit more lane presence with the Doran's Ring in the earlier stages, keep himself alive. Using the teleport, he can then get back and continue trying to push things forward as Ruler looks for more. And Aiming, just taking boomerangs, taking projectiles, and him and Life having just the best time ever. Talking about Ruler, of course. Ricochet is continuing to do some work, and Aiming's going to lose that whole health bar in trying to keep himself alive. Meanwhile, topside, Dread is going to get a flash out of CuVee. Still some more auto attacks coming in here, and it's press the attack Gnar on the top side. Most likely the CuVee special in the on-hit Gnar variety.
And also, Ghost was expended out of Dread in order to try to make that play work. So he will be lacking that for a little bit. And down here in bottom lane, Aiming and Senan, they're trying to hold on for the time being. But the Hecarim's actually falling behind the Sejuani. Peanut, all of his rubber band camps are going to end up respawning here soon. However, the one flip side for Afreeca is that Kiin is getting ahead.
Yeah, and he's probably going to have an even better time in this matchup.
Yep,
the last one wasn't a difficult one either. But yeah, this is going to go very, very well as we've got Dread poking his way around once again. Kuzan trying to get under his turret. He's going to do so. Doesn't even need to use the flash and has teleport to get back into this lane. No harm, no foul on the Gen.G side, but it's Dread, once again, not quite finding the gank that he wanted. And there we are. So Frostfang does come in eventually. It's what we were expecting, but still needs to get to work on that quest.
And Gnar's really trying hard to crash this wave in because Kiin just has a beautiful golden freeze right now up here in this top lane. And the CS deficit is quite noticeable currently.
Yep, well, it's going to come out from CuVee to get that wave pushed forward like you were talking about. And finally, the wave is going to at least have some attention from this turret. Kiin 44 to 31 though, like you say. Very, very good news for the Afreeca Freecs.
Ruler picks up the Executioners as the first item.
Yeah, it has been sort of the way people deal with a lot of these Sona lanes is first back Executioners.
Yep.
And you can transition pretty nicely into a Mortal Reminder as well, and that will help against Kiin, Dread, Ucal, and Aiming.
Yeah, everyone
Senan.
gets hit
Good God,
so heavily by it.
Morellonomicon probably going to be coming in from Kuzan at some point as well.
Yep.
This is one of those times where LS is not going to be upset with a early Morellonomicon.
You've done your homework. You really have.
Be proud of me, LS Senpai, as that's going to be Devour on cooldown, and Aiming and Senan no longer allowed to enter this lane. Oh, okay, ring around the rosy. Arctic Assault should be able to get him out of here, but he's going to get ulted very quickly. I believe it might have been on cooldown, getting him around the corner as Kuzan throws his ult forward. CuVee gets in here, lands the boomerang as the Claw of Doom comes in. Afreeca Freecs will use their teleport. Senan is going to spend some time on the top side blue jungle, and that means Ruler and Life will be getting a turret play.
Yep, they're going to get a turret play down here in the bottom lane as well as a little bit more poke onto Aiming.
Oh my goodness, just the tip. 300 health now onto Aiming. He's running out of mana. Ruler with the spell shield. Slightly mistimed, but that's still 2 turret plates. And that's why Gen.G have a slight gold advantage as we have a look at the top of the screen.
It looks like Aiming is actually going to run over to that honey fruit.
Delicious.
Is it? Do you think that it is delicious? Well, Scuttle Crab's even getting in on it, too.
I assume it tastes a bit like honeysuckle.
Do you think that when Aiming comes back down to bottom lane, that he's going to tell Senan what just happened?
What just happened?
He did hunt him with Scuttle Crabs. You saw the date they were on.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Before Sejuani, the paparazzi.
Well, I'm pretty sure Senan, he's a confident guy, you know? He's a confident catfish. He knows that there's only one River King for Aiming. So it wasn't a date. It was just an old catch up between friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm an optimist.
All right,
I like to think that their romance is true. Ucal, looking for a blue buff. Gets that ward over the wall. Peanut spots it. And Peanut just straight up doesn't really care. Glacial Prison comes in on the hijack as now Ruler and Life are just making sure that this bottom lane is not allowed to head towards their blue buff. It's going to be a successful steal. It's what happens when you do have lane control on the bottom side of the map. And of course, Ruler and Life, with the current champions that they have, will have access to that. Aiming goes back, buys another blue item, but it's not an item that's going to help him win this lane in the slides.
Yep. Picks up the Tear of the Goddess. As meanwhile, we're taking a quick look at top lane, and yeah, the CS gap it's noticeable.
How much of the reason why CuVee picks Gnar is because he has a skin?
You know, I actually really don't like when picks like this end up coming in, because this is a champion that historically was only nerfed over and over and over, received indirect nerfs via the runes, ended up getting hit and whatnot, and then occasionally we see top laners pick the champion, and it almost feels like it has to do with either comfort because of the player.
Well, I mean, CuVee is definitely an example of that. He is probably one of our most successful Gnar players.
But Gnar in League of Legends is not Gnar in teamfight tactics.
It's true. No, it's one of my favorites in teamfight tactics.
Gnar's not quite good.
Well, Kiin is showing us that right now. He's like Mega Aatrox all the time. You need to be Mega Gnar all the time to take him down. As we're going to have these blue buffs traded. Top side of the map seems to belong to the Afreeca Freecs. What we're expecting, play around Kiin if you're the Afreeca Freecs, and play around Ruler if you're Gen.G. So far, the Ruler tactic is working a little bit better. Turret plate's going down in their favor, but Aiming and Senan in this Sona, Tahm, Kench are a ticking time bomb. They're just trying to wait it out. And, okay, it's Glacial Prison. Just used for some harass. It was timing out, I believe, on the hijack in the mid lane.
And right now, one of the scary things for Afreeca is, yes, they have a Sona team composition. Yes, it has Hecarim accompanying it, but the Sylas is really a shadow of his former self. And with Sivir already having the Executioner's Calling, being able to get the Mortal Reminder later on in the game, and just the way that the team compositions are set up, I really do feel like it's going to be quite scary despite being a Sona team composition, because without the Taric there, as opposed to this Tahm Kench, they do have less effectiveness charging forward brunt force into the wall that can be the Gen.G champions.
Yeah, that's a stun coming in, gets the ult out of Dread just to try and lock down a Rift Scuttler. 11 minutes. It's one of the latest Drakes that we've seen stay alive for a very long time. Final chapter comes down towards the bottom side. Life lining it up really nicely as Senan down to 400 health. Prowling projectile not able to do it in the boomerang, just a little bit short. Another turret plate will be the result of this, and Aiming and Senan both just shoved out of this lane. If Aiming stays, he is going to die, and he sees the Peanut is there.
Sees Peanut's there. Dread is pathing now towards the bottom side of the map, and he's having to do this because of all the pressure that's being created. You can probably guess that he would have ideally liked to have pathed up to his golems after the Raptor camp, but unable to do so due to all the pressure that is being dished out here by Ruler and Life.
They want this other turret plate as Prowling projectile comes in. Life is going to hop off, deny that, and another turret plate. That is 4 eaten already, bottom side. Only one more to come in, and they've still got a few minutes in order to do so. 3.5 to be exact. Another one. Senan comes back to the lane and wonders why he chose that, because actually I wouldn't want to be there, as Aiming way too low. Has to wait to press W as well until that
and now Peanut's here too.
And yep, Peanut looking for it, but they're just going to confirm this turret take on the bottom side.
Oh, maybe Tahm wants to.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they're gonna have to cancel their plans.
Yeah, looking for Senan there, but the Prowling projectile is all that's going to happen. This is a gigantic advantage in exactly the place that Gen.G wants a gigantic advantage.
Yeah, and right now Sivir 121 CS here at 12 minutes. I'm almost impressed, but not quite.
Yeah, but that's full turret plates at the same time. And to catch up to the clock 12 minutes into the game, that's a pretty early clip. I'm impressed.
All right. Well, I'll let you have that one.
Yep.
As Mountain Drake should still be on the agenda, so that's why the bottom lane is actually still moving back down into bottom rather than moving top lane and proceeding for some sort of Herald priority.
Yeah, Kuzan walking along over here as Ucal knows that that's his intended route. ward in this Raptor camp. Would have shown
Senan
Peanut,
has to be
I'm
careful
pretty
here.
sure. Peanut's going to dive in. The you and me is going to be used. Final chapter comes in. They're just trying to get some sort of...
They're trying to get the cleanse.
Yeah, some sort of positive interaction out of this one. Teleport's coming down from both top laners. From base, in comes Kiin. He's going to have to flash immediately, though. Glacial Prison comes in. Dread dives on forward. That crescendo was fantastic with Kuzan. Goes golden. First blood onto the catfish. And that's going to be more as well.
Yeah.
Gigantic Gnar into the backline. A double kill for CuVee. And once again, Gen.G have found it. It's a clean ace at 13.5 minutes.
That's probably game over, Atlas, to be completely honest. The Sivir is so far out of control right now in this game. Getting the Mountain Drake, and the next dragon's going to respawn.
Getting the Mountain Drake, plates in the mid lane, getting to send Ruler towards the top lane with his teleport is only going to extend his advantage.
Let's see if he can actually end up getting one more plate inside of him. Maybe two.
Yeah, no, it should be two here, right? There are so many caster creeps.
Oh, it's going to be real close. You can see it was...
Oh, yeah, I wasn't able to get the last one.
That's why I'm not
impressed
impressed at the end of the day.
Yeah, I can understand that. So, I'm not impressed anymore either.
I'm not...
What a disaster.
At this point,
Yeah, I think...
really killed it for me.
Well, I mean, it's about to be 15 minutes. I think Gen.G should probably surrender. Yeah, I think it's all over. We got double Executioner's calling, though. CuVee, he's got one of his own.
Infernal Drake.
Look at the buy from CuVee, by the way. Is it full Black Cleaver? What do you reckon? Yeah, full Black Cleaver. Nice.
Full Black Cleaver now picked up for the Gnar. And Sivir is absolutely gigantic. Still not even first core item yet completed for aiming. We take another look at this team fight, and this is game deciding. This reminds me of the Herald. And for what is the question that you have to ask Afreeca in the VOD review here. They channel the TP in from Kiin. He's in no man's land. He's not in Kansas anymore. Eaten up by Senan, but Senan can't go any deeper. Ended up doing so. Got caught by the Gnar ultimate. Becomes a Lissandra passive. Ends up chasing, aiming away. CuVee continues on. And they just get so much value. Get the ace. They get all the plates. They get the XP and the minions.
Yeah.
Look at the Mountain Drake.
CuVee just looking like it's another day in the office, guys. This is the kind of play that he makes on the Gnar. His teamfight Gnar is probably the best in the world and has been known for it for many, many years now. That was the buff that Gen.G managed to get them to Worlds.
Yep.
In 2018 and 2017 as well, I'm pretty sure, and then went on to win. It's largely to do with the fact that this guy's pretty good at picking Gnar at any time and team fighting on it. Because we see a lot of split pushing Gnars from a lot of our other Gnar players. He does play that style very, very well with the on-hit style of build. But CuVee does it different. He's all about getting Mega Gnar at the right time and smacking people into walls.
This point in the game, it is a 4,500 gold deficit. And it's about to be an Infernal as well, most likely, going over to Gen.G in just 2.5 minutes. Rift Herald now finally picked up. Scuttlecrab RNG is in their favor. Everything is just going fantastic right now if you are a Gen.G fan. This is looking extremely reminiscent of game number 1. And with the poor rounding out of the Sona team composition here, normally I would say, okay, it is still a Sona comp. If they can make it to 25-30 minutes, they might have a chance. But realistically, I just don't think that they do because they're playing a 4v5 because of the Sylas here.
Yeah, well, I mean, they made the decision. I wanted to at least, I don't know, humor the fact that they picked it for a reason. But so far, I mean, he does have a bevy of ultimates that he can go towards, right? I mean, there are a lot of really high-value ones. Frozen Tomb and Glacial Prison on the same team feels pretty good as far as hijacking abilities is concerned. You can chain them late game in team fights, so he still has that ability. But I just don't know whether late game team fights are going to be a thing because this is happening on the top side of the map.
Okay.
Chain perma CC'd and dead.
You ever been pinned between a Mega Gnar and a Kevin Tuggle?
The old, good old Big Bristle.
Yeah. Is that what they call him? Big Brissy?
Big Brissy. Yeah. Well, I mean, at the moment, it is Big Bristle with a peanut on his back, you know, and the peanut's doing some pretty fantastic things with that flail, but Big old Bristle is also just smacking people in the face. Afreeca Freecs desperately trying to not fall down the same way that SKT did with a Sona that, I mean, at least Aiming managed to complete the quest. I don't know when it was, but it was before 20 minutes. And that is good, but we saw the Sona composition once again just fail utterly in the hands of SKT, and Afreeca aren't managing to pilot it either. I feel like people have watched, you know, Kingzone's game and Griffin's game, of course, being the perfect example of what Sona looks like when she's completely busted, but this is not one of those examples.
Yeah, this is definitely not. 35 seconds until the Infernal Dragon's going to go over to Gen.G, because realistically, if Afreeca tries to contest that, they're just going to get absolutely face-rolled inside of the river. Oblivion Orb completed for Kuzan. He should probably be going Morellonomicon's second core item.
Yep, unless he feels the need to go towards Zhonya's because his stopwatch is already broken. It's the only other argument that I would have. Blade
of the Ruin King is also being picked up for CuVee on the Gnar. So he's going to have more split push potency as well as self-heal inside of the fights and added sustain. So that's going to be quite nice. And the attack speed so that maybe he can even help apply the Executioner's Calling to more targets.
Oh man, it's so sad because Dread is also basically irrelevant right now. Had to go for the Cinderhulk. It is still trying to build towards a Trinity Force, but as you can see, it's a Ruby Crystal and a tiny little sword. CuVee gets the hop, doesn't get it over again as Dread, you can see, just cantering around. They want to make sure that CuVee can't get to Mega Gnar, and he's certainly not going to be able to. 4 members invested to try and get this one, but that is a Mountain and an Infernal Drake now in the hands of Gen.G, and they are continuing to put pressure on the Hunt. Once again going to be used, and the denial with the Prowling Projectile is just so huge, especially against Dread's Hecarim, who hates running slowly and also hates it when your skill shots basically can't miss him.
Yeah, it is quite unfortunate, as Hecarim is going to have a rough time. Now, a little bit of a breathing moment here for Afreeca, though, that they're granted in the form of an open dragon. Will be the next one to spawn, but the problem is that realistically, Baron is on the menu for Gen.G. All they need is one pick, and they would be able to get it. And if you look at Afreeca's team composition, there is absolutely zero Baron resistance inside of that team composition. So, if Baron goes the way of Gen.G, the game will just end. And so Afreeca is going to have to play this song and a dance and somehow devise a way to prevent them from getting that, stall the game for another 15 minutes, and then have some sort of a dream engage where Sylas isn't a
waste of space.
But that was a really nice way of saying it. You know, I actually couldn't come up with a word. I wanted to open up a thesaurus so that I didn't get TOS
yeah, you got to watch out for that one. You got to watch out for that one.
I was getting really afraid.
I'm here though. I've got you.
Okay. Thank you.
Figure that one out.
Yeah.
It's my job. We're a team. All right, Gen.G though, they're also a team, and they're looking to play this 1-3-1 as well as they possibly can. Ruler insta-clearing minion waves, as well as Life making sure that he's as safe as possible, on top of the fact that Gen.G are unface-checkable. You just can't walk at this squad because they've got things like a Frozen Tomb, Glacial Prison, even the Prowling Projectile means you're dead. So you were talking about Gen.G getting a pick. They have so many different tools in order to make that happen.
Yeah, and even with all the Merc treads on the side of Afreeca right now, that just means that Sivir and Gnar are going to hit like trucks with their generic auto attacks. So
I want to draw your attention somewhere.
Draw it.
Look at how many control wards there are. Kuzan just put his down, but they had, I think, 10? It was 10 a little while ago. So many control wards on Gen.G's side. They really want to get control of this Baron area and make sure that Afreeca are forced to face check.
I really like how Life is truly embracing the Yuumi cosplay here. He picked up a Magi Soul Stealer just to have the book without any stacks.
Yeah?
Absolutely love it.
Amazing.
What do you think Yuumi reads? Do you think that's like a floating Kindle?
Maybe.
It might be, right?
Maybe it's a thesaurus. Maybe you should ask Yuumi for one.
Ooh.
You were looking for one earlier.
What if she got trapped in the book, which is why she's now just an item in team fight tactics?
Hey, that's true!
What if she got trapped in there?
Wait, no. Is she an item? Or is it actually just Yuumi?
It's actually called Yuumi.
But maybe it's just Yuumi. Because she's basically an item on Ruler right now. It's just another set of buttons.
Oh, and then when she gets tired of losing and all the people just dragging her win rate down and rank, she becomes a champion in the next season.
Ucal looking for Ruler. The Gnar not going to land. Spell Shield in from Ruler was perfect. Final chapter does get the root in the end. Senan with the Devour, but they're not out of the woods just yet. Song of Celerity from Aiming's trying to keep them alive as that ultimate went completely wide. That's a fantastic 4-man crescendo. Can the turnaround get in? But no! The health bars are just gigantic on Gen.G. No Mega Gnar just yet. CuVee will finally have it. Gen.G thinking about whether or not these health bars are low enough. The answer is going to be no. It's CuVee just patrolling to try and get them out of here. Can they get an inroad towards this Baron is the question. The answer is reset, come back with even more control wards.
Well, they're going to steal away some of the camps of Dread. Peanut is level 13. Dread is still level 11. I'm not sure how deep Peanut is into level 13, though, as Dread is about to level up.
Yeah, Peanut very close to picking up his Warmogs as well, and that would just mean that he can start engages like that anytime he wants.
We'll have to see when Gen.G is going to get another opening. It's an okay, it's an okay gold disparity in the bottom lane.
Yeah, that's 3,000 gold.
3.5.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
It's a Flame Horizon and then some.
Yeah. Well,
at 24 minutes. I know it's a bit weird when you've got weird kleptomancy things going on, but that's just a big old lead.
Yeah, it is. It is quite sizable right now, and things are still going very, very, very well for Gen.G.
Barreling projectile. Umbral Dash will get him out of the way of the boomerang, but Ruler eradicate the map of all of these control wards. I feel like Life is a natural Yuumi player just from the fact that he's so good at Rakan. Feels like You and Me is like just a better battle dance.
Okay.
Makes you untargetable. And look, the Gleaming Quill actually does damage. Amazing.
Gen.G's actually being overly cautious, I feel. They could easily start the Baron with the sustain and the healing that they have on some of their champions. And even if they don't want to do it right now, after getting the Open Dragon, they should be able to for free. And then just say, hey, Afreeca, you actually have to come in now to the river. And once they do that, it becomes really, really easy to turn and engage. One of the problems that we are seeing here in game number 2 is they are being really cautious and passive with their current advantage.
Game number 1, they did basically the same thing. Right now, they're just trying to make sure that the resources that they can get on the map are just much higher than the resources that Afreeca can get on the map. You can understand the playstyle. Ucal has himself a Lich Bane completed, so that's 2 items done for him, but that Merlinomicon that you were calling for is now done for Kuzan, and Static Shiv picked up by Ruler. He just wants to do some 100 magic damage every 3rd auto attack. Wait, no, never mind.
Wrong game.
Yeah, wrong game. He just wants to clear out mini waves more fast than he already is. I think that like 1 Ricochet auto attack will probably just clear mini waves. As you can see, does a lot of work.
It's okay.
It's not bad. Just feels like he doesn't need the range, and I can understand that. You're against mostly melee and a Sona. Yep.
2-level disparity in the ADC department. They can just start the Baron anytime they want now with the Ocean Dragon as well as the innate tankiness and the sustain that they have on their champions. They can just hit the purple monster.
Just start
the Baron. Just start it up. Afreeca will come. They will come barreling in. You'll have the Yuumi ultimate, the Sejuani ultimate. Peanut trying out for the New England Patriots before, but he should be able to hit it in the river.
I reckon like if Afreeca are coming for a face check, that's one that you can hit, you know? That's generally how that works. Ruler hanging out here in the mid lane.
God.
Oh dear, he's going to need one hell of a spell shield to stop this one. The flash comes in, they don't go for the dive as Dread slowed down by the Winter's Wrath. Teleport now coming in, final chapter not doing a whole lot of work as Kuzan gets the Frozen Tomb in the backline. Ring of Frost is fantastic, keeps himself alive. Huge Gnar into the wall, and of course, CuVee makes it happen. Ucal in the backline just wishes it was a patch earlier on where the Sylas was working.
Oh, they can end.
And the Catfish is cleaned up on the back end. It's only Dread that's alive. He can't defend this turret. And Gen.G have obliterated Afreeca Freecs once again.
What CuVee is doing right there. He tanks all the turret hits because the cannon is almost dead.
Yep.
And in doing so, it makes sure that the turrets are not super, super tanky.
Yep, no backdoor bonus available. Nexus turret number 2 is going to go down, and you're exactly right. 27.5 minutes into this game, and Gen.G make it back-to-back swift and easy victories over the Afreeca Freecs. I don't think anyone was expecting this, but this LoL Park right now is erupting because so many Gen.G fans have been waiting for them to show up, and what better way to do it than on the back of CuVee's huge Gnar in the backline.
Yeah, and so many things just went well for them again, and this time around, there was nothing that Afreeca could do to really hope to stabilize. They had the Azir in game number 1 that they could maybe have tried to rely on, but in this game, it was a Sona team composition that just had 2 champions that were really out of place. Yeah. And maybe the Sylas was really a panic pick at the very end of the draft, which is just really bizarre and suspicious.
I feel like they had the idea that there were so many great ultimates to steal, right? So if you get to an ultra late game, you cycle those ultimates. Maybe you get 2 of them in a team fight, right? Maybe you get to Frozen Tomb and Glacial Prison in the same team fight, given the fact that once you're level 16, have 3 ranks in that ultimate, it is strong. But yeah, I mean, that's just wanting too many things, right?
Well, Afreeca, they looked really, really strong in laning phase, except for game number 2. Kiin, however, did look really strong in laning phase in game number 2. Dread feels a little bit bad, did not feel like he could path the way that he wanted because the lanes were all under so much pressure constantly inside of this game, and I'm not really sure why they took the approach that they did with the Sona once again. But Gen.G, when they got an advantage, they were able to just snowball. And the Dragons also went pretty well for them early on, which was helping out with that as well. Itemization going fairly well for them too. So they can be feeling really good about the win here today.
Yeah, it's great stuff from Gen.G. Not what I was expecting. They came off a victory, yes, but it was against Humble Life. Not exactly a team that you're riding home to tell your family about taking down at this point in the LCK. But Gen.G, after a victory over the Afreeca Freecs, it really does muddy the water when it comes to that top of the standings that we were talking about. Coming into today, it was feeling like things were separated. But this is going to draw things ever closer together. And the standings as they were before this, it was Afreeca in 5th place. And now I think we'll have a switch in position as Gen.G should be able to move themselves to the upper end of the bracket. Hey guys. How you doing? I could lip read that. He said, "Hey Atlas."
No, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was hoping he wasn't going to lip read. Say something else, and then I'd accidentally read out something rude. As we're getting some cute pictures here. We saw these ones a little bit earlier on from some Gen.G fans. Might need some translation, but I think that we've got G-Sun waiting alongside for the MVP interview, so not going to have her give us some insight on what they actually say.
Yeah. Well, curious to see what they end up saying.
Yeah.
Inside of the winner's interview.
I'm curious to know what everyone's going to be doing for the next hour and a half. It's a very swift 2-0 that Gen.G were the ones that orchestrated.
I don't have my laptop.
I know.
I can't play teamfight tactics. What am I?
I'm really sad about it as well.
Actually.
Oh, do you reckon we could install the PBE server?
Oh yeah, it installs in like 2 minutes. Korean internet? Yeah.
I know, but are you actually? Are you capable of?
Yeah.
Installing new stuff? I didn't know that.
So Korean PC Bong's computers are set to factory reset every time you log off.
Every time you log off, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And so
Something
you just
like
install it. This was just huge.
That was a really, really good. I mean, it was just like game number 1, but you have to ask yourself, why was Afreeca handshaking this team fight? Makes no sense whatsoever.
It was before the Mountain Drake was even started,
and
you know?
Let's just remember that 5 members agreed on that play, apparently. So it was truly impressive. This was Aatrox getting it on with some wild animals. As right here, CuVee finds himself a little bit caught out of position. Maybe the Darken's like.
All right. We're just gonna watch Ruler Flash out of the way of that one. And this was just Gen.G winning 2 pretty fantastic team fights, and then winning the game. That was the result, and it's all off the back of this guy. CuVee able to jump himself in, and he's just a joy to watch on the Gnar every time he picks it up. Feels like sometimes he has some whoopsie moments, but If you think of CuVee, you think of Gnar and the way that he manages to pilot this champion like no one else. And yeah, it was a slow and steady victory, but you can see that that first uptick, that's first team fight.
Yeah.
And the last uptick, that's the last team fight, and that was the game over, right?
Yeah. We're going to have to go back to the drawing board.
When the Sona that basically looked like did nothing the entire game did the most damage
Sometimes
to the team,
this happens.
That's when things have gone wrong. That's negative.
Well, also for our next series of the night.
Ah, yeah.
We have a bit of a explosive one.
We do. KT versus Sandbox will be coming up in quite a while. We're going to get ourselves prepared, make sure that we're ready for some explosive action. I'm hoping that KT can show up a little bit better than they did last time out on the Rift and show us that they can be a top contender, because just the pedigree on that team, the Expendables roster that they have for themselves with Prey, with Smeb, with Score, and even BDD in the mid lane. He was such a fantastic player when he was on Kingzone, but hasn't been able to reach that final form that he's been looking for. So KT with an opportunity now to strike back against a team on the rise. Sandbox have looked fantastic in their most recent games.
Sandbox are looking very reminiscent for their first round of the LCK
I feel like we're back in spring, right?
We're back in spring, so...
Oh, yeah. Give him the MVP. This was my vote. Definitely his first MVP so far. CuVee, phenomenal performance on the Gnar. Love that he picks it back up again. Saw it in the LEC, and he was like, all right, it's my time to shine, baby. 9-12 does seem to be a pretty Gen.G focused patch, and we saw that proved once again here today. It's like an extra ban slot has to be used now against this team, because they will first pick Karma and win with it against you.
Didn't come out here today, but next week, Mordekaiser should be available. Not so sure where he'll end up actually resolving.
Is he just a
No. His jungling was killed.
Oh, okay. Good. Normally when it's LS, it's I know I was watching.
자, 계속
But
올라가고 있는
speaking of watching,
경기입니다.
let's watch the
오늘
MVP
승리로
interview, so let's
잘
throw it over to
지켰습니다.
G-Sun for some
선수,
translation.
큐베 선수 모실게요.
Thank you very much, guys.
안녕하세요.
This is G-Sun with today's interview translation, and we're going to be hearing from live CuVee from Gen.G picking up 2-0 victory today. So you have the highest MVP points currently as a support player. Are you satisfied with your performance today? I think the game went as well as we prepared in advance, so I'm really satisfied. And CuVee, this is your first MVP. You cannot believe this. How do you feel about today's win? We prepared a lot of draft, and it really did as we planned, so we were able to pick up quite a bit of an easy victory today, so I'm really happy. Yeah, speaking of draft, especially game number 1, you guys first picked Tahm Kench and rotated it in the top lane. Going down to the very last minute of the pick and bans, we wanted to go with a stronger picks in the bot lane, so we thought of using Tahm Kench as a top lane. Do you usually try that in solo queue? Or were you feeling any pressure? I barely actually play it, but today was the right situation and there weren't many champions left to play in top lane. And Life, your Rakan today was really impressive because your secondary rune was Zombie Ward and Relentless Hunter. So Rakan has a huge teamfight ability, so it's a really good champion to kind of play games in a faster tempo. And we have a montage moment over here near the Herald. So let's go through the highlight together. So you were actually the bottom side and then went in. Well, actually the rest of the players were like, we're losing this, let's just back up. But I thought that there is a very good angle for me to kind of engage with my ultimate. Yeah, you actually landed charm on 5 people, and Mad Life has a question on you. So your grand entrance was actually down, but if it was up, would you use it in advance? Well, I mean, we weren't really that far away from the opponents, so we were actually not that far away in terms of distance. So I just went with my ultimate, so my answer is no. I don't think I would have used my grand entrance even though it was up. And game number 2, your signature pick Gnar appeared in the game. Is it a good champion in current meta? I have seen Gnar versus Aatrox matchup in foreign leagues, so I told my coaching staff that I think it's a viable pick. And game number 2, there were a lot of champions that I can use were banned out, so we ended up locking in Gnar. So your Mega Gnar were landing so many knockups or CCs to all the other opponents. So this is the highlight over here. What's going on? So here, I was so close being a Mega Gnar, so it was a really nice timing for me. I think Afreeca players didn't really know that, so it was a perfect angle for me to use the ultimate. Gnar is a really difficult champion to actually utilize the ultimate. Any tips? Well, there's no actually huge team. If you have it in the cooldown, just use it whenever it's up. CuVee. A lot of people are saying that you are always left alone. No one cares but you. Today, we could hear in the mic check that you were actually screaming, "Save me, save me," when you're almost dying. Do you enjoy being alone? Well, speaking of me being isolated, well, I have been playing in this style for a long time, so I'm actually used to it, and I have actually some my own know-hows to play in such situations. Your next opponent will be Sandbox. How are you going to prepare for that match? I heard a lot of team members are here to support you, actually from the office as well. We're going to prepare even different things for upcoming series, so I'm going to make sure to show great performance. CuVee. Sandbox is preparing here for the 8 PM match later. So, any message for the Sandbox players? Let's have a great game. I heard you doing some gestures to your camera. Oh, there was the official LCK photographer in front of me, so I just did it. Can you send the small hearts to the viewers as well?
오늘 승리 정말 축하드리고요. 인터뷰 감사합니다.
Congratulations on the win, and thank you very much for this interview.
선수 큐베 선수 함께했습니다.
This will be the end of the interview with CuVee from Gen.G Esports. I'm gonna pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ji-sun. And congratulations to both Life and CuVee. CuVee with his first MVP of the season so far, and if Summer CuVee is indeed coming back, then a lot of other teams should start getting scared, because this guy is very good at sitting back in his lane and then eventually winning the game for you.
Yeah, and the rest of Gen.G is coming together.
Yeah.
And they're managing to get sizable advantages. They might slow down a bit when they get them, but managing to close out games, they're doing much better than they were at the end of summer.
Really clean, though. I feel like these 2 victories were in about the same sort of style each time, and that moves them up to 4th place, sole possession of 4th place, knocking Afreeca down even below Dahm1 Gaming, as Dahm1, of course, have finished all of their matches, and Afreeca 3-3, the only team that is completely even when it comes to the win-loss, even in-game score. As now we're going to be finding out what Sandbox have for us. Can they stretch that lead against Kingzone, or will KT Rolster join Afreeca Freecs in that 6th place with a 2-0? A lot of different options here, but Sandbox on a tear. 3 wins in a row so far as that game score, and looking to make it even more.
Yeah, and I don't think that it's going to be slowed down. I'm really looking forward to watching them later on.
Yeah, me too. Looking forward to what Sandbox can do, and of course Gen.G will be facing them next week as well. I believe it might even be game 1 in week 4. So that's why CuVee had a message for them. But guys, our message for you is that we've got a really long break. We'll see you after for Sandbox versus KT.
You take me higher when I feel low. Make my world brighter when I'm alone. I keep on rolling, all with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dream come true. 'Cause this is the beginning. Together we'll be winning. With you I'm a feeling featherlight.